Hobson with Rhinebeck School of Music, and in this lesson we're going to learn all about practical applications of the Dorian mode in popular music. So many of you have probably learned your modes and you know the theory of the modes, and now you're like, well, now what? What do I do with this? It's useless knowledge unless you can apply it. So I'm making this video sort of to help you maybe unlock some of those ideas and be able to play them in music. And one example, the first example I'm going to give is Pick Up the Pieces by the Average White Band. It's a funk tune that jams on the F minor 7 for a long period of time. And if you analyze the melody that the horn players are playing, so you have this F Dorian over this F minor. And the reason why I know that is because it's the F minor scale, but instead of the minor sixth, it's a major sixth. So you can hear this is the minor scale, the Aeolian over that, which gives it a very sad. Now here's the Dorian. A little more uplifting with that major sixth note in there. Right? So if you're jamming on a chord for a long period of time, just one minor chord, that's one application of Dorian if you want it to have that kind of sound. So if we analyze the melody, this major sixth makes all the difference, because if this was a minor sounding song, it would be that flat sixth, that minor sixth doesn't really make it sound very happy or funky, right? It takes the funk right out of it. So that is one example. So the next time you're jamming on one chord for a long period of time, you can analyze the melody or what the soloist is doing. Is it a major sixth in there? That would be the Dorian sound. Is it a minor sixth? That would be the Aeolian sound. You can also use minor pentatonic over this stuff. So this is F minor pentatonic. So you can actually start mixing sounds when you get really good at this, which is why I really love playing over one chord for a long time, because you can go between modes and kind of experiment and explore. So yeah, that song, if you want to learn the rest of it, most of it's just an F minor 7 over the melody. And then it goes to a B flat 11 and then the last chord is a C7 sharp 9, as is the intro chord. So it's a good one to learn and to practice if you want to get the sound of Dorian over one chord. The next example everybody probably knows, Oye Como Va by Santana. So you have this one minor, the A minor, to a 4 major chord, which is D major. If this was a truly minor key, you'd have A minor to D minor, and it would have that kind of a sound, right? But to put that major chord in there on the 4, that's a distinctly Dorian sound, because you have this F sharp in your scale, the major sixth, right? So in Oye Como Va, it's just 2 chord vamps. So you have A minor to D major. That's the whole song chord-wise, except for when they go, which is A minor 7, B minor 7. And then you have your Dorian mode over top of that, which is starting on the root, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. So that scale will work over that progression, and he really accents that with the, and again mixes in A minor pentatonic, layers really nicely over top of that too. And since you're in a minor key, that pentatonic's going to work really well to blend in that rock sound. So so that's one that you can jam on. And he does the same thing with Evil Ways. Same chord progression, just a different key. The G minor to the C major. You gotta change, pentatonic scale in G minor over top of that as well. All works really nice. So this 2-5 chord progression, let's talk about that a little more. To create a chord progression based on the Dorian mode, your 1 chord would be minor, your 2 chord would be minor, your 3 chord would be major, your 4 chord would be major, your 5 chord would be minor, your 6 chord would be diminished, your 7 chord would be major, and then you're back to your minor. So the parent major scale for a Dorian here is G major. So those are essentially the chords in G major, just starting on A minor. And you'll notice that that 1 minor to the 4 major is a really common Dorian sound in so many songs. So we did Oye Como Va, which is in A minor. We did Evil Ways, which is in G minor. And then we're going to continue with a couple others. So Herbie Hancock, Chameleon. There's the bass line. And the 2 chords are B flat minor and E flat 7. So that's your 1 minor to your 4 major, your 4 dominant 7, right? So you have B flat minor, E flat, right? So here's your Dorian mode in B flat that layers over top of that progression so nicely. So that's another song example of Dorian that you can jam on if you have that. So you can jam on that all day long. Another one is I Wish, Stevie Wonder. So that one's in E flat minor. So you have your E flat minor 7 here, and your A flat 7, right? Do, 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 do. Wait, sorry. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. So you can vamp on that, and then you have your E flat Dorian mode. That's really nice to play with. Another example, Feelin' Alright, Dave Mason, 2 chords all the way through, right? I know the Joe Cocker version is in C, and he plays a C dominant 7 to an F7. But I believe Dave Mason's version, he goes minor to major, like Feelin' Alright. It's in B, I believe. So B minor to E major, another 1 minor to a 4 major chord, which is a really good sound for Dorian. And again, you have your Dorian mode that layers really nicely over that, as well as your minor pentatonic if you want to get bluesy. Feeling alright, I'm not feeling too good myself. Eh, eh. So those are a bunch of examples. Like, so the 1 minor to the 4 major, or if you're thinking of the parent major scale, it would be a 2-5 chord progression. Like this would be a 2-5 in the key of A major, right? So that's a really common chord progression for rock and for applying that Dorian mode. Here's another common Dorian chord progression, going from the 1 minor to the 2 minor. So like a vamp like D minor 7, E minor 7. Back and forth. That's a good one. So a good example of that, Miles Davis, So What? This is a jazz standard, but it's one that's pretty easy for even like a rock guitar player who's trying to kind of bridge the gap between rock and jazz. Has this E minor 7 to this D minor 7. That's the bass line. And then you get D Dorian. There. So this is my D Dorian pattern. Mooondance, that's another one that kind of follows this chord progression. You have A minor, the verse anyway, A minor, B minor, C major, B minor. So that's a 1 minor to a 2 minor to a 3 major back to the 2 minor. So that vamp goes on, right? And that's a decidedly A Dorian sound. So that's another one that you can just vamp on that and play your A Dorian mode. So the 2-3 minor, or the 2-3, the 1-2 minor, or the 1-2 minor to the 3 major is another really common Dorian chord progression. So here's a couple more folky examples. Here's an oldie, Who Will Save Your Soul by Jewel. So you have an A minor to C to G to D vamp. So if this is your 1 minor, this is your 3 major, your 7 major to your 4 major. So if this was a true minor Aeolian sound, that D would be a minor chord. You'd have, which has a decidedly different sound. So again, you can kind of mess around with your A Dorian over this song. Will save your soul when it comes to the lies you've told. So going from the 4 major again, and that sounds like Oye Como Va, right? Another example, Scarborough Fair in E minor. So it's E minor to D to E minor, and then E minor to C to A. So that A major is not a minor, it's a major, and that's your 4 major, and your E minor is your 1 chord, A major is your 4 major chord, back to E minor. So that's so really like, that's like a telltale sign. If you have 2 minor chords sliding back and forth, that's a telltale sign. If you have a 1 chord and your 4 chord is major, that's another telltale sign that your song is in Dorian. And it's a way to write progressions using the Dorian mode as well. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any favorite Dorian sounding songs that you like to play, leave them in the comments. And hopefully this has been a good way to start applying the Dorian mode if you're a rock player and not so much a jazz player, or if you kind of want to get into a little bit of jazz as a rock player and bridge those 2 worlds together.